perspective. So please join me in welcoming these three wonderful speakers. And we'll follow the same format, so they'll be speaking 20 to 25 minutes, and then we'll follow that with questions. So, here we go. Thank you. So, I think there is too many lawyers here. Okay. I have two questions before start. If somebody count to 1, 2, 2000, how many time it take? No, come on. Usually the lawyer speaking.
It depends. It depends.
You are a lawyer?
Yes.
Okay. Another one. If you go to Google, Florence stay 15 meters at the level to the sea. Right? It's right or not right?
If you see it, it must be right.
It's right? It's not right. Or yes? Suggestions?
67. 67.
Same question, different. I stayed 1 month ago in Saint-Malo, in the north of France, near Mont Saint-Michel. In the morning, the sea is too far, 200 meters, very far. In afternoon, with the sea coming, it's 2 meters, 50 up. Which is the level? Right level. It's different. Okay. So, now we start. Oh, it's don't work. Work, no work. It's black.
Gabri. Oh. Ecco, arriva il tecnico. No, è il problema del tavolo.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, it's not this way. Good. Wait, I don't see. Okay. Oh, nice. Good. I stop. It's okay. Perfect. We see? Sound.
Sound.
Yeah. We take time. Don't worry. Oh. Why I show this? And why I stop it now? Make a record del mundo. Stop it there. Everybody have an idea? Nobody? Suggestions?
She doesn't make it. That's right. Suspense.
Suspense.
Suspense. Devi spegnere il volume che si abbassa.
Okay. I'm not interested in Mr. Fosbury or his performance. I'm interested in methodology for jump. Before, for jump, we stay here and you jump. You have a performance. And then the people change a little bit. When I arrive at Mr. Fosbury, he changed completely. He started going in this direction, jump here, he go there, he turn, he come back, and when the jump turn. This is a system, it's hyper performant. It's really performant. Today, the people use this system. And I think everybody in our job, it's necessary, don't stay close. Open a different thinking, open a different profession, because it's necessary for synthesize something well, in performance, new. I'm teaching in Milan, and we take a course for the Church for the Futures. Of course, we see a use after we come back for this reflection. We use artificial intelligence for make the place spiritual. Because we ask, but this technology have a capacity for imagining a space with spirituality inside. And I make this book, I like my friend, Tino Grisi. He have a different thinking, but I think he have the mentality to Hilton. I stay home everywhere in the world. I think for the church, this is impossible. It's usually just 100 years ago. But now I think it's the right moment to change. Thank you, Gonzaga University. Thank you for the Vatican. I've just printing for this book. And we stay in Arizona. The idea is that we take a picture, we take a prompt, and we change when we change country, because each country have a different culture, different people, I think different materials, different weather. I think it's so many important to change architecture. I go a little bit fast because it's, we take Africa, for example, we are showing the country, and then arrive different languages, the spirituality. This is not architecture. This picture, architecture is more complex. But anyway, it's a system for start a project. We see that the student today have a problem with the pen and with the paper white. Don't start. We think that this technology gives something for move, for imagine different. And you know, you change a country, change architecture. Just to look. I don't want the architect to speak in architecture, blah, 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 blah. It's not sympathetic. But you know, it's possible. It's possible to make something different, because if you put in artificial intelligence, I prefer it's not artificial intelligence, it's not intelligent tool. It's a statistic, generative statistic. It's much better JS. He don't know, in this case, make a building. The statistic point generate this. This is so much important. When you use ChatGPT, he don't know the material you ask. It's statistic you use, algorithm, for generate something. You know, it's interesting. Different situation, different building, different material. We stay in Asia. Is Israel, Iraq, Lebanon, India, India. It's interesting. Suggest for make something. China,
No.
Mongolia. The languages, you see the languages, it's different. Okay? Anyway, it's a start. After inside, you need to work inside. You joke with the form, you joke the material, you joke with the languages. It's Thailand, here's bamboo, technology of bamboo, blah, 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 blah. It's Vietnam. The complexity for the work is very, very interesting. And then here we are in America, because this is the first step. My friends say, no, come on, I'm not a book. No, anyway. Return is a Cuba. It's Jamaica. You ask the people, local people, you have local people inside the picture. It's fantastic too. I would like to arrive to the United States. It's Peru. The diversity is the quality. And today we don't have this mentality. We have a mentality, I have put everywhere in the world something. In Bolivia. Argentina, okay, United States, yes. So in the United States, we use the same system, same prompt for each country have the same prompt, same schemas. It's finished there, but if you analyze the United States, it's not a country strong, only one. There is too many things inside, too many sensibility, too many. I analyze just people around the world living there, the local people. The diversity, it's the United States. Today, I think somebody can think different, but it's another history. Okay, I try. I stay. I make a long trip to the United States. We stay in Page. I try. If I change state, they change the architecture, change the culture. It's interesting. It's Arizona. The languages change. Moab, people from Moab. So a friend living there, but anyway. We stay in New Orleans. New Orleans too. It is Chicago. You know, if you move to the United States, you move so many cultures different. It's necessary study, looking, speaking, and then I make a project for architecture. In particular, this is spiritual space, more complicated too, because the level the spirituality have too many thinking inside. It's not monolithic thinking. So this is architecture, imaging, no architecture. Now it is a project I make this course in Morocco, and I analyze the city, one part of city, kilometer, half mile. In the center, the student choice which want. When we analyze one part of the city, this is the competence I need for make a project. There is a lawyer too. The architect is a man or woman. It's have the point, the reference for each professions. Each profession perhaps use GS. And then the architect on the final maybe use GS too. It's a synthesis. Like puzzle. Each part is important stay the right place. If you arrive at the complete the puzzle, the project is so good. Maybe it's night? Ah, here. Here I use the same system. I give a suggestion, the prompt. I say I stay in Morocco, I stay in Rabat, not in Marrakesh, not in Casablanca, no, Rabat. And coming what we see. All right? I don't know. Because this part have a problem.
Sembra che sta a capo.
Lì giù che probabilmente c'è stato
So, everybody, hope. Maybe. Okay. So, service.
Need to move the cable plug into the PC. Probably that one. But you know it has a cable and the cable. Andrea, secondo me il cavo che a volte quando... No.
Oh, people we move. Yeah, you know, it's so easy. Everybody go there. Yeah, no problem. Come on, let's go. I go too fast. We finish before. The people move.
Non è ok.
Vabbè, lui è ok. Okay. We go. I ask in the kilometer too many thinking. The garden. I ask to art. I ask so many thinking. Of course, we don't use in the case this, but it's just for the people use this part of the city. It's a normal street. Everything is garden. The people living in this street use this part, garden or gallery for art, for movie, for it's different. Too many suggestions. For example, the garden for make vegetables, local market. I started to Sana, it's the oldest garden vegetable in the city. I go a little bit fast. I use this technology for suggestions, for make the projects. Napoli, for example, because the city is too minerals. In the life in the city, mineral city is not so nice. The contact with the people, it's social, but it's not social in the reality. You know, the city changed so much. Florence. I prefer Firenze. Because it's in the United States, there is Florence. It's not Firenze. Firenze. And the vegetable, it's a change, of course. We are in the more north, in the Napoli. Yeah, you use the city with a little bit of garden too. The nature entering the city. Milano. This line, it's the move, the droning for make vegetable around this area, for example. It sociality, the people work, sell. There is a contact. It's much better than the quality of life. Pollution is not pollution. Paris too. Maybe you're looking the vegetable, which vegetable stay. In this case, GS, it's very, very interesting for start a project. Mr. Berlin. Little bit church in the middle of garden. In the Berlin, there is this project. It's very interesting. It's an old church. It's destroyed after the war. In this part, it's the part where the Russian put the bomb for Dona Cross. And he used this place for plant the grain. And the grain we use for the poor people. We are finished. Okay, now we are here. Yeah, in the church, the chapel we make here in the school. Don Alessandro is not there. Huh? I killed Don Alessandro one day. See. Andrea, yes, I need a project. Yes, bye. Okay, next week, tomorrow. Don Alessandro, I stay in Casablanca, Morocco. Hey, what do you want? Yeah, I need a project. Yes, I understand, but what do you want? I give you the photo. One day we stay here and we explain what you make. Please. But anyway, slowly we arrive in the final. This is the structure wood we have in the place. So I would like here I don't use GS, but I use the color, the Florence. This color represents Florence. I use this Virgin. Because this Virgin, it's San Luigi Sea in Florence when I have vocation. I suggest to go to here in the Santissima Annunziata to see. This Virgin is like a cloud arrive. This I joke. I use GS for what is this in the reality. We joke. I prefer the art. This San Luigi, in the right side there is Santa Maddalena de Pazzi, it's a Florentine, Florence, di Firenze. In the left side there is a woman without parents, because in Santissima Annunziata there is a place with the people don't have parents. So, I suggest to take 1 minute to read this. This is the homily that the Pope Leon said last week. Because here I think it's the right street. And then take 1 minute, everybody read this. This is so many important. Oh, wow. It's a Sacrosanctum Concilio. We use this for sacred space. Yes. Stone. This is not important. In general, this is my garden. Yeah. It's in Florence, in the Florence. For this, we make sacred space. But Jesus Christ don't say this. You are Peter, so this Peter, not this, and Peter, I'm Peter. You are the Peter for my church. Okay? This is really different. Of course, we are human. I would like to touch. Okay. I'm finished. Okay, I'm finished. That's all right. I suppose. Oh. Yeah, it's finished. So, this technology is so many important. It's better exist, but it's not intelligent. We are intelligent. And we use this technology, GS, I insist, for our possibility to jump like Dick Foster. Thank you. Thank you.
5 minuti per te.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's a couple of minutes for a break. Just a moment.
Just a moment, don't
Don't
go.
go anywhere. So, this is a special moment here. I would like to give a gift for the new church. This is the oil altar. And here, I suppose we have a candle. Yes. A gift for the church.
Scusami, sono distratto la tecnologia.
Now what? Okay.
We didn't want to interrupt.
Okay, everybody do that.
Sending.
Not sure.
Okay, we're going to keep the program going, so please please find your way back to your seats. Dr. Thalia Kaveri is going to be presenting next. Also doing interdisciplinary work with architecture. So we're very excited about this. Visualizing AI's impact on human rights through architectural space. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Kaveri.
First of all, I want to thank you all for the opportunity to present our research in such an estimated audience. Let me find why is it Oh, it's okay. It's on my screen that
No, it's fine.
She has presentation view. That's you.
Ma è solo quando va su
Solo quando
slideshow.
va sulla non so perché faccio, perché
If you could do it without going into slideshow, we'll get it on both screens. It'll be a little harder.
it will be small and difficult to read.
So now it's not appearing on that
Okay.
screen.
How do you get it out of the,
Yes. When you go on the slideshow, it goes off the screen for a reason we don't understand.
Yeah.
That's
So
beyond our
I'm
competence.
doing duplicate slideshows. So our screen here looks like that screen, but it's not showing on my screen. She also tried to present her view, so she could have her notes, but that didn't work. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So I don't think the screen is.
it works only in this mode. If you go off any other mode, it's gonna, I don't know, we don't have those focus on.
Okay.
We can present on this mode.
Could you present on this mode?
You can put the menu on.
I don't know, there are some animations.
Click the carrot.
It'll be fine as long as you stay in this mode. And then Gabri maybe can change the, if you want, he can change the slides so you can tell. So you
I
don't
will
have to-
try to do
And
Just try it like this if
Okay.
possible. Then everyone can.
Let's
Yeah,
try,
they can also-
let's try and we'll see. So this is a presentation about the contribution of the study of architectural space in visualizing potential risks that an AI design system may pose to human rights. Doesn't. Oh. And we aim to provide an interdisciplinary methodology for the assessment of physical and social environments designed by these tools. Since production, the animation doesn't play, and we will not see the image.
it won't play. I mean, it'll play on that one, so.
I don't mind standing.
What do you think the best solution is? Should we migrate over like, or Oh, yeah, so that we can see.
Yeah.
Why don't we do that? Apologies.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Then we'll be able to
I
see.
can see
You
it's
gonna
fine.
use the couches? Bring your chairs over with you. Here. Yeah.
Go that way.
Green ones are rose. Flexibility is key.
Exactly.
Yeah. Bring a little Sorry, you're speaking. I'm sorry. This.
Oh, no, I'm okay. I usually move the chair, but I can see it from over here.
You okay?
There's seats up
There's
front,
as well.
there's up here, so please,
Four
plenty,
seats in
there's
here, one.
plenty of seats, so
Plenty of seats. Come in.
don't be shy. Okay, so after that brief pause. let's begin.
Yes, start. So, we were saying that production of architectural space has been rapidly enhanced through the development of artificial intelligence systems. By definition, all AI systems, depending on the data received, produce predictions, meanings, recommendations, or even decisions that affect the physical and social environments in which humans live, work, get education, and have many other activities. According to the recent report of the Steering Committee for Human Rights of the Council of Europe, a schematic representation of the operation of such a system may seem to be a quite complex procedure, but it could be understood as a decision-making system that includes five basic steps, starting from the data collection from the environment and ending by rendering the results to the environment as physical action or informational influence. Human intervention in the process is possible and varies depending on the intended degree of autonomy of the system itself. The main factors raising questions on the quality of the input data and the assessment of the outcome are the human factor as stakeholders, the relation to higher-level principles as defining the objectives of the procedure, and the structural composition of the physical world, meaning the physical environment in relation to social and mental environment. That is probably the reason why the committee notes specifically that contrary to virtual environments that can be fully controlled, real environments are too complex to be observed entirely and to measure the changes. But in real life, architecture has provided the tools to create any kind of built environments to fulfill multiple needs, intentions, or perspectives for human societies. These environments have served as the physical carriers of significant religious or political ideas. materializing the higher level principles that they present, but mainly they are directly linked to the service of human users. So by the term architectural space, we are referring to the thoughtful making of space as the famous architect Louis Kahn defined our work, taking into consideration three-dimensional geometry and human activity as well. Studying human activity can provide a variety of shapes in space, as humans have the intention to stand, to run, to use vehicles, but also to draw circles or long lines in space. Many people gather to sit together to watch other people dancing, and the list may go on for long. Architectural space in our approach should enable all these human activities. Architectural design should move ahead from mere production of space to the creation of places like playground places, dancing places, educational places, rest places, etc. Placemaking is linked to the genius logic, the protective spirit theory of Finnish architect Christian Norberg Schultz, who defines architectural space as the concretization of human's existential space, a theory that offers a phenomenological approach for space studies, combining knowledge with multisensory spatial experience. Practically, it is an attempt to provide space with specific structure and identity in view of creating meaningful places for people, using definitely three-dimensional geometry, but also history and human perception, and trying to locate quantitative and qualitative features of space, defining paths, centers, areas, and domains of human activity, which directly links architectural space to human rights issues, visualizing and revealing in addition spatial values as mentioned by the architect Bruno Zevi and spatial rights as noted by the philosopher Henri Lefebvre. The values and rights that were acknowledged to human nature and since the Enlightenment period obtained legal protection involving law theory and practice with higher level principles and setting the foundations for a humanistic shift on social and political organization of human communities, and in fact reforming the modern social and legal condition in Western civilization. The most impressive aspect of this shift was the reformation of the criminal punishment, acknowledging the value of life of the criminals as their right to life. This is the right slide, I'm sorry. Leaving behind general corporal punishment and providing a certain procedure to turn offenders and criminals into ethical persons and useful citizens, forming a big step to deal with social problems. And it is exactly at that period that we notice a perfect example of cooperation between law and architecture, beginning with John Howard's modern prison in the year 77. John Howard, who is considered to be the father of modern prison systems, was not an architect, but he has offered original plans and specifications for prison space, emphasizing the factor of the built structure in order to provide prisoners an environment that could accomplish the reformative intentions of the modern spirit, and noting that prison condition is also a spatial condition. Many architects followed these instructions and enriched them by their tools, providing admirable built structures and forming the field of prison architecture. So based on this background, we examine the Greek prison system at the first centennial of the new Greek state, considering it as a social and legal condition that has a physical structure as a spatial condition and refers to the confined life as a lived condition. So it can be evaluated by co-examining the legal framework, the architectural theory and practice, and the personal experiences of prisoners. We conducted a retrospective comparative examination of the legislation and the official documents of the text about prisons and prisoners, and of the architectural drawings of the building structures. We have used tools from the fields of legal science and anthropology alongside architectural tools. And as textual analysis is not the main field for us architects, our research was interdisciplinarily supported by law and anthropology experts who contributed to define common criteria for organizing the original material and the assessment of the findings. This is. So comparing space-time condition predicted by law, spatial distribution in built structures by architecture, and experienced living by humans revealed the dynamic spatial condition within the inmate's interaction or reaction with the enclosing physical environment points out to the claim of their fundamental rights. We will present you some of our results focusing on specific places within the built environment which consist essential elements of prison space, such as the courtyard. According to the references from the legal text, courtyards were set as necessary area in the interior of the prison to ensure natural lighting and ventilation, that is, to meet a vital human need for the inmates associated with human dignity. Courtyards were also mentioned as places for their physical exercise and the maintenance of good physical condition in respect to their physical integrity. In addition, the courtyard was said to be the only place where prisoners were allowed to talk to each other, recognizing their right to have oral communication. Therefore, the law recognized that the formation of a courtyard fulfilled multiple needs and rights for people. So every Greek prison should have some kind of courtyard. But the shape, the size, position in the complex, the height of perimetric walls were not specified by the law. These features were formed by architecture following the general form and position of the site itself and producing rectangular courtyards, circular sectors, irregular shapes, affecting also the distribution of human bodies in space and the possibilities for movement and communication or encounters between them. For example, a single center courtyard in the block allows the coexistence of prisoners from different sectors, thus expanding communication between them. Its location in the general layout and the height of perimetric walls differentiate the quality of sunlight, of the sound reflected, and visibility for people. But the most important factor is the access to the courtyard. Showing two different prison cases, we can easily see that in a Verov prison, the main courtyard is accessed by one single corridor, which produces one single path for body movement to ensure a canalization for their circulation, as the great philosopher Michel Foucault states in his interview entitled Space, Knowledge and Power. In the case of a Gina prison, prisoners can access the courtyard directly through their dormitories, and the absence of corridor allows alternative paths, such as linear paths around the perimeter of the buildings, or direct approach to the center of the open space in an ideal radial arrangement, or of course even more free paths, allowing them to choose a path. How do these different structures affect humans? The answer could be extracted from their writings. In the first case, the path to access the courtyard seems like a whole mandatory journey in their daily life, whereas in the second, they express their feeling of being in a place of freedom, although being in the restricted place of prison, revealing to us that freedom to choose a path, fulfills not only humans' original need for orientation, but also their original intention for choosing more activities, as this option multiplies encounters among them. So it seems to lead, in addition, in fulfilling their need for being in the world and belonging to a social and cultural totality. The cross-examination of the three concepts for the courtyard space seems to be a transition from the abstract to the concrete. The original legal concept of providing a concept space, a courtyard space, obtains shape, materials, and specific form when physically implemented and becomes meaningful where lived by the prisoners. And this meaning is not always in accordance to the original intention, but offers to us alternative aspects that make us reconsider its value and replan production of space. Similar findings have been collected through the study of the cell space, revealing more needs and rights, such as the right to express their feelings or thoughts by scratching the cell walls, by using them as notebooks as it is written down by a prisoner, making us reconsider of the dual contradictory value of the cell wall, a separative object between the inmates on the one hand, also a means of expression or communication between two forced to isolation human beings. And then it's the dormitory space for congregate living offers the right to communicate but deprives them from the right to privacy, as they emphatically quote down, which is another excellent recording of the contradictory character of space. These contradictions are found in the nature of space and show us that physical space is also mental space and social space. And although Lefebvre states that no space science could brook with that, it is exactly by these contradictions in space's quality that we can visualize its impact on humans and reconsider the laws or the planning procedure we follow so that we do not harm needs or rights of human beings. As Lefebvre explains, human beings do not relate to the space of society as they might to a picture, a show, or a mirror. They know that they have a space and that they are in this space. They do not merely enjoy a vision, a contemplation, a spectacle, for they act and situate themselves in space as active participants. So an example of successful effort on contradictory spaces is on the inclusive use of space, for which law and architecture have been working together for decades on the regulatory framework and design to provide meaningful physical environments regarding the inclusive use of space, and specifically the creation of accessible environments reassuring physical accessibility in all public services and places. But accessibility is more than simple physical motion for everyone. It fulfills multiple rights and freedoms cited by the Charter of Fundamental Rights of the European Union, demonstrating that in the physical world, human rights are indivisible and interdependent, and showing also that no human activity can be understood in a spatial vacuum. So how this procedure would be very useful in the operation of an AI system for the ethical and responsible use. We have until now located three ways of intervention. The first is by improving environment state's observability by cross-examining representations of it, oral, written, or sketched. The second is by mitigating the risk of offending personal data at the stage of data collection from the environment, as all our measurements did not use personal data of the stakeholders, such as the sex, the age, and even the kind of conviction was indifferent into taking into consideration their perception of prison space. And finally, we mainly are working on how we could teach AI systems to take into consideration all complexity of real space, mental, social, and physical, and to link the procedure with higher level principles. And in fact, the elaboration of the complex data of the environment is the part that we expect great help from these systems, as they are promoted to make better analysis faster for us. As a closure, we would like to mention that all three concepts of space provided us feedback to our choices during decision-making procedures and made us reconsider materiality not only as mere implementation of our planning, but in addition as a dynamic totality for the inclusive use of prison space, which is a very sensitive space, vulnerable to all social transformations, and nowadays is in the lead of AI's implementation on mass design facilities, on mass surveillance systems, and on mass inmate management. But prisons were also in the lead of implementation of the modern ideas of the 19th century. And according to political philosopher Alexis de Tocqueville, American prisoners and experimental treatment of the era influenced the formation of any common field of human communities, such as education places or workplaces. So we could argue that studying prison space is like using a magnifying lens on human interaction with the physical environment that reveals and concretizes to the rest of society abstract concepts carrying timeless values. That is why we strongly believe that this methodological procedure can be applied to any public institutional place. That is also the reason why we are conducting the postdoctoral research, attempting to apply it on the study of educational places and their relation to human rights issues. The results are not yet presentable, but the first findings make us optimistic as we rely on the strong belief that interdisciplinary procedures will lead to the ethical and responsible use of AI systems for the production of space, which are now rapidly developing and which should take into consideration that architectural praxis from the initial concept to its design and implementation is a multi-parametric process which contains many interdisciplinary references that would be difficult to limit to a single scientific field. So architectural research design always raises research questions on the social, political, cultural impact of the produced space, and certainly calling for other disciplines like law theory and practice to participate in this research. Thank you very much for your attention.
Okay, thank you for that presentation. We'll turn it over to our final speaker, Dr. Christia Papakliopoulou.
Hello to everyone. Thank you very much for this amazing opportunity to be in Florence. And for me, the most, I'm very grateful that I have the opportunity to converse and discuss and especially engage, because this is what creates thinking, critical analysis, and it's an amazing opportunity. So, I'm not a very technological person, so my kids are better than I am. I am, I think, the only person in the world that burned out the Mac computer, the graphics. I don't know how I did it. But when I was thinking about this AI and the legal profession, I also wanted to experiment. So yet last night, before I was going through my presentation, I thought, let's see what other AI tools can do. So I prepared three types of presentation. The first one, I went to one online um, application and I just placed the topic of my presentation, which is not here. Yeah, it's okay. I can catch up with talking. So what I did is just I put the title, I gave the command, and then this AI website really designed the whole presentation for me. No, I didn't even have to put a single word as a content. So I found that's quite impressive. The second thing that I did, I went to another website and I introduced to this other website the text of my abstract. And it created the text. So I just click and copy and that's it. Everything was done for me. The final presentation, the one that I am going to go through, is the one that I prepared when this we didn't decide to show, but I found that okay. What I found most interesting and exciting is that technology nowadays moves so fast, and we are kind of trying to catch up and respond to this. Thank you.
It gets ready, then we'll start.
Okay.
Please.
I think it's like that.
Yes, that is waiting.
Let's pause for 10 minutes. You can get some water.
We're resetting the computer. Yes, yes. That's all we got. Great. We also have upstairs ready.
Yeah, like I need to move to the stairs. It's already set. Or they leave it back.
Thank you very much.
I saw very briefly in Pennsylvania. I actually went and toured one of the old Pennsylvania districts.
I dream to visit. I know it's been practically stolen.
I'm not pressed about it, but
All the beautiful things. I've studied for long, but it's so
Yeah, and so it's interesting. Then we'll study that. Yeah, and so it's interesting. Then we'll study that. I was at Eastern State Penitentiary, and it's almost everything doing night tour. It was just like, so when I saw some of that, I was like, oh, I should read about this.
I like very much.
I know it's hard to go.
Please don't
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, but I thought that was
Is the right education? Then tell me when it comes to use the people.
cos'era quindi?
Okay, we're back online. And not only that, but we have a screen behind me over here. So
Don't count on it.
Don't count on it. So maybe take the seats that you had originally, but we'll keep our fingers crossed that this will keep going. So we've had a little bit of a brief delay. Hopefully, you still have your rhythm and you'll be able to get back into it and everything like that. So. Okay, so please.
Thank you. So, AI challenges on human rights in the legal sector. So what I'm going to discuss is about how AI is affecting the legal sector by going a little bit backwards to identify what is the main area that we're going to discuss, and then going specific into the legal sector. So, oops. Okay. So we already had some definitions of the AI. Today we're going to discuss the age of technological acceleration, AI, human rights, and the embedded bias paradigm. What is intersectionality? Something maybe a new concept for many people. How is it possible to regulate the AI and within the particular area of human rights? And I'm going to discuss finally the challenges that AI brings into the legal sector with a focus on human rights. So, what's artificial intelligence? We've heard in the morning by Professor Rosenberg, he has given some definitions. Dr. Shirley Jenga also gave us some definitions. So what is AI? We can say that if you compare the human intelligence and the AI using the Turing test, is that AI is the simulation of human intelligence processes by computer systems. These processes include learning, reasoning, and self-correction. So but what is AI? So what I thought of is asking AI itself to say what they think that AI is. So they gave me this whole description in ChatGPT. So it says that AI refers to the development of computer systems or machines that can perform tasks that typically require human intelligence. And these tasks include blah, 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 understanding, processing natural language, learning from data, perception, reasoning and problem solving, automation, and it is powered by models and algorithms that are trained using data. These systems range from narrow AI, which are designed for specific tasks, like recommending a movie, to general AI production, like capable of performing any intellectual task a human can do. And I don't know if it's possible to help me change my slides. I don't even want to try myself. Oh, no, go back to, not in the slide, to my folder. No, not in this. Yeah, I think so. Okay, so doesn't show. Well, I can send this to you. I think it's easier. I wanted to show the different types that AI could. Maybe kind of turn it on. Don't worry. It's no point. It's just I wanted to illustrate how AI can be really helpful. This is not PowerPoint. It's Word. Okay. Yeah, please go back to the presentation. So, so what is our age? This okay. Didn't do anything. We are living in an era of huge advancement, of technological acceleration, innovation. We have artificial intelligence, algorithms, chatbots, ChatGPT, DeepSeek, Copilot. The list is, as I know, but there are many things that I don't even know about changes in the artificial intelligence. We have metaverse. Do you know what metaverse is? Yeah, metaverse is, everything is quite impressive to live in virtual reality. And we have different things that are available now. There are glasses that you can listen, you can see in virtual reality, you can choose with applications and you can see and listen while you're living and moving into space, to real space. The gadgets change. With artificial intelligence, you can create and see how the room will change, how you can put different furnitures in the room, even present a better photo of yourself through using AI. So it's quite impressive in terms of what are the capabilities. And these are just the ones that I know, and I'm not very technologically advanced. So our era is characterized, I think, by crisis. And maybe it's something that capitalism reinvents itself always in generations and cycles of accumulation and cycles of movement and motion. And there's this great book by Giovanni Arrighi. He says that it's the long 20th century, and he specifies that once capitalism reaches a point when there's no going back and it reaches the full sense of this accumulation, it will create a crisis in order to reinvent itself. And through this reinvention, there is this era of carnivore stage that it creates capabilities, possibilities, new changes. So a new set of status of reality will emerge. Maybe this is what we are right now. I do not know. But for sure, there is constant change. And this change is quite fast, faster than what we can appreciate and we can react to it. So AI is often presented as a neutral tool. This is something very important, that it is presented as a neutral tool, but this is not actually very neutral, because evidence suggests that there's it exacerbates gender, racial, and other biases, and leading to discrimination and marginalization. I'm just going to show you some examples of that. Some stereotypes and embedded race bias in AI. So AI was developed by humans. Humans, usually tech people, are men, usually younger men or great. They step into their little rooms and they're creating AIs. People have biases that are intentional, but also biases that we don't even realize that we have. They depend on many other factors from our own upbringing. These biases find themselves into the AI design. The design that was very, very well presented by Professor Thalia. So this, unavoidably, these biases lead to inequalities. And as the AI learns from itself and learns from the input that we put and the data that is available to it, it may reintroduce and regenerate biases. I'm going to give you some cases that this was evident by the courts. So in the EU, we have a report calling on the European Commission and the member states to prioritize funding to AI research that focuses on sustainable and socially responsible AI, contributing to finding solutions that safeguard and promote fundamental rights and avoid funding programs that pose unacceptable risk to these rights, including funding systems of mass surveillance, social scoring, and other systems that have potentially lead to negative social impacts. So there are inherent risks of relying and allowing this technology to run free without trying to intervene to correct these distortions. We're not talking about the free hand to correct the economy, because this free hand is everywhere. So what are these? Some examples. I do not know whether you can see these images, but you can see the white male and black male individuals. And the white male individual on the left-hand side of the screen says Dylan. Dylan is characterized as a low-risk defender, but on the basis of his offenses, he had 2 armed robberies, 1 attempted armed robbery, and he had 1 grand theft offense. And because he's white, because his facial characteristics are such, the algorithm would classify him as a low risk, as opposed to a black Native American, black American, Bernard, who is characterized as a high risk with number 10, but he only had 4 juvenile misdemeanors, no subsequent offenses. The same applies to the other 2, the white male and the black male. James has 1 domestic violence, aggravated assault, 1 grand theft, 1 petty theft, 1 drug trafficking, 1 grand theft, and he's classified as a low risk number 3, as opposed to Robert, who had just 1 petty theft, and he is medium risk classified at number 6. And all of this because the algorithms the input that they did have an embedded bias that Black Americans are more prone to offending, to be sentenced than white males with certain characteristics. So this also shows some images, and depending on the face and the way that your eyes are, your nose, your mouth is positioned, they are placing a white male as more likely to be in a high-paying occupation like an architect, a lawyer, politician, whereas a woman, especially a woman who has more Asian characteristics or Black characteristics, she can be a teacher, a social worker, a housekeeper. So these are types of embedded biases that the algorithmic that is included in the algorithms that process AI systems. And this graph also shows the working women misrepresented across the board. Oh my God, I can see the clock and I'm still on page 14 of my 42 slides. So what happened is that there are a number of case law that highlighted these biases. And one of the most prominent cases is in the Netherlands case, the child care benefits and the Siri cases. They had this algorithm, and that if somebody who would apply to get social welfare from the Netherlands, if he was a Dutch national, he would be more likely to get this social welfare as opposed to a non-Dutch national. So the discrimination was between locals and non-locals. And the court identified this, identified the algorithm, made the company that processed this algorithm to explain how this algorithm worked. And then they identified that this had a design flaw by adapting the algorithm based on the previous experience, based on the input that existed from before. The same applied to the Budapest bank case. So what this bank in Budapest did is that they applied an algorithm to scan the emotions, the facial characteristics of the people who had applied to the bank or were intending to complain to the bank. So based on the emotions and the surprise, the threat, the facial characteristics, the algorithm would identify how to, whether to give this loan or the mortgage, or how to treat this particular applicant based on their mood. So again, the bank was fined by 634,000 by the Hungarian Data Protection Authority. And this goes back to the presentation earlier today about how data protection legislation can be a means to regulate in a small part what is AI. The Clearview case was a huge case. Clearview used to gather information from various sources, facial characteristics, information from different Instagram, Facebook, blah, 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 and then sold these images and photos to the police. And they created a platform to allow law enforcement to rapidly generate leads to help identify suspects and witnesses and victims. Clearview was fined. They had to pay over 67.5 million because exactly of this, the way that the algorithms were worked, it led to biases. In the States, we have the case of Flores and Stanford using the COMPAS algorithm. And this was an investigative platform that allowed law enforcement, this was used by defendants to decide whether to grant offenders that were sentenced to life in prison discretionary parole. And the other case was the Kahoo and Fast Centers in 2020, again relating to the unemployment and the use of the MIDAS algorithm. I can send you the slides and you can read them because I have to move along. So another thing that I often see in Facebook or when my kids play with their tablets is that I realize that AI can make hallucinations. It hallucinates, creates a case code, creates things. There are these AI deep fakes. And also something very important is that a few days ago, I saw on Facebook this image of an airplane in Egypt saying that there is extraterritorial kind of connection between the civilization, and that airplanes existed, mobile phones existed, helicopters in ancient Egyptian temples. And the thing is that we, my generation, previous generations, maybe you, have the capacity to know. You have been in libraries, you have the possibility to check and double confirm this. You read books, you can go and look at the sources. But what about the generation of my children? When they see these images, and what they can do is just simply accept this information that the AI generated systems give as a fact, as true, unquestionable. Because our generation is moving with such fast rates. And the reason my younger students, they don't want to do work, they want to avoid it, they want to find the fastest way to get along with their lives. And what they do is just go to Chat GPT, and they have a way to do this. They just put everything in brackets, put the brackets in white. So at the Open University, we have everything online, even the exams online, but by putting the brackets in white, they avoid even the plagiarism kind of software, and it doesn't recognize that this is plagiarism because they quoted it. So my greatest fear about AI is that it leads to uncertainty as to what is true or not. And the greatest danger, I think, is what is our history, who we are as humans. Because if everything is digitalized, everything is online, we're not printing books, we're not printing newspapers. So everything exists in this digital world. And who can access this information? Where can you find it? Or maybe it's not even there anymore. Who knows? So another aspect that I became recently interested is this social theory of intersectionality. This is a social theory, it's coined by Professor Kimberly Crenshaw. And she said that we are using this gender dichotomy, which is saying man and woman. But this is a very simplistic way to realize and understand the other things that exist in life, because I may be a woman, but I am Cypriot, I speak Greek, my English is not my first language, I have handicap in the use of language, I'm a mother, I have children, young children. So all of these are characteristics that define who I am. And intersectionality, to say it in a very simple form, is that you are looking at the combination of a person's identities that can result into forms of discrimination that cannot be reduced to single issue understandings. The consequences cannot be understood as not racial injustice plus disability discrimination, but rather oppression multiplied and as something experienced in isolation. So the fact that we are using traditional legal understanding, the law, human rights, uses this gender equality, identifies discrimination for physical or visual impairments. But discrimination is more than just these things, because we are not just simple man or woman or it or different other characteristics of sexual orientation. Or there was a story about someone who wanted to identify herself as a cat. So different things. But this, so intersectionality also in itself as a social theory has many different manifestations. And here. So you can see that there are even more parameters that identify what intersectionality can mean. So taking into consideration what is AI, what is intersectionality, what are the legal approaches to regulate AI? How have we been doing in terms of law? In the EU, we have the AI Act. I'm going to present some aspects of the AI Act. I don't have a lot of time. There is the US Algorithmic Accountability Act of 2022, the US AI Bill of Rights, the Steering Committee for Human Rights, that is trying to issue the handbook for human rights and AI, hopefully by the end of the year, the UNB Tech Initiative, the UNESCO Roadmap Against Racism and Discrimination, There are recommendations by UNESCO on the ethics of AI. There are state regulations, and we have judgments of the European Court of Human Rights on exactly data interception, biometric data, internet, digital tools, facial recognition technologies. But nowhere in this can we see anything about intersectionality and about human rights and human rights. Can I have two more? Sure. Okay. So, AI Act. Skip it. So, challenges of the human rights in the legal sector. I can identify that there are three different aspects. The one involves the clients, the lawyers, and the administration of justice. And what I want to clarify is that what is focused now is the administration of justice, not the justice itself. So this is something that I'm really concerned about, because they really want to just expedite cases rather than give justice and be correct. So there are issues about the ethical duty of the lawyer to inform the client if they're using AI, different impact of AI on the legal sector, like the automated routine tasks and criminal justice and document drafting compliance. And there's AI in legal services in many, many ways. Alan already introduced their Harvey bot. They use spaces on the metaverse. They use ChatGPT, but ChatGPT hallucinates. There are a number of cases where the lawyers didn't want to do their job, so they put everything on ChatGPT, and they presented the judges with cases that didn't exist. And some challenges in the legal sector is the language, the fact that AI is produced in the States or common law countries. Civil law countries have a different understanding of precedent in the legal system. The language used is English, maybe Chinese. Other languages cannot have this reflection in the AI. And there are also gender inequalities within the law, especially in terms of inequality, losing workspace, and lack of business development. You can read about this. And especially AI affects women lawyers for the reasons that I indicate there. There is a possibility of having new jobs, however, and unless we learn to harness and bridge gender inequalities, and prevent discrimination, AI could potentially, even inadvertently, lead to the opposite direction. We have allowed the invisible hand of technology to draw the new blueprints of the digital information age without realizing that this invisible hand cannot make the corrections without correct inputs and information. And for this reason, we need to address this. And there is this slide that I always really like about equality, reality, equity, and justice. Hopefully this will give you some food for thought as to what we can do in the future. Thank you.
Wonderful. I wonder if I could ask our speakers to join us at the front table. We do have a few minutes for questions. I know we're getting a little bit behind, but I want to make sure we have opportunities to engage a bit with the speakers. So we'll do the same thing as we did before. I've got the microphone and I can walk back.
You sit down there, I'll
No,
run those things.
no, hold on. I'm good. Thanks. Back here. Okay.
Okay, I have this question for our last speaker again. Knowing that we have so far to come, knowing we have so far to come with human rights and solving our issues with equality, do you think it's even like appropriate to be using AI at this stage in society? Because I know you said just now like the concerns of us almost reversing that effect. Or do you think like AI is something we have to set aside and then solve socially before we can use it as a tool?
I will speak
I
loud.
think we have a second mic up there, so I probably should have given you that.
I think AI is part of life. AI is already there. And what we can do is just to react to it, but maybe try and react quickly. And we can't make it go away. It's happening, but the more we realize how embedded this AI is going to be and how it will challenge and change our lives, maybe we should act faster with solidarity, trying to find that this is something that's going to stay and create a better future for our children.
I have a question for everybody. Why? Nobody asked me why I stopped Sotomayor in this moment. This act. You remember the video? Oh, sorry. You remember the video?
Yes.
Yeah. There is Sotomayor start for the record. I stop it. It take just feet if up before jump. Why? Nobody asked me. Ask me. Why? I stopped it there because after, or you are champion or not, it's not my problem.
My question is for the last speaker. When you were talking about expediting the process, it made me think, if a client is opposed to the use of AI with their information, but the attorney uses it to help them with their drafting, and to me, I feel like that's a violation of the attorney-client privilege and the confidentiality there. But what are your thoughts on that, and how, if a client does not want that to be used, does the attorney, should there be obligation for them to not use it for them, or like generated chat GPT, like that type of AI, I guess, more specifically?
Very nice question. Well, depends on the policies that the client and the agreement that you have with the client. When if you disclose that you may use AI in the engagement letter, then maybe this is something that the client cannot ask you to opt out. But consider this: lawyers use templates. We have templates for civil procedure, templates for Kessler's trust law and cheating on contracts. So it's not something that is uncustomary for the lawyer. The lawyer doesn't have to reinvent the wheel every time. But obviously, if AI is going to be make it faster, and it means that instead of taking me 10 hours to create this draft, I use something as a template, then this template helped me do it in 3 hours, then my billing should reflect the time that I spent. And as I was saying to one of our colleagues earlier, is that recently I had to work on a case about drafting a derivative agreement that was not part of the customary form of derivatives agreement. I had to repackage a loan into equity so that the cross-border merger between a Latvian or a Czech company could take place. So I didn't have such a template. I asked ChatGPT, I did my research, but it helped me have a template to work on. So I think what really depends is how the user uses the AI as opposed to the technology. Technology is there, and it depends on the ethics of the lawyer itself as to how to use this tool. So it remains a tool, unless we choose not to use it as a tool and allow it to determine our lives.
I wonder if the other two speakers might want to comment on that same question, but within the field of architecture, because I think one of the things that I was thinking about, particularly in the first presentation, is that was AI generated images, but there are also images that I'm quite certain you could have done without AI. So how much is AI going to impact your fields, and maybe some of the same questions, whether it's an ethical question or just, so if you wouldn't mind commenting on that.
No, for me not, because I'm old, and I don't like, but I use for the new generation because it's a new languages. It's not possible to stop it. Sometimes I try, but when I have an idea for something coming. I don't know why, but it's coming. And no, I don't use. But I think it's very interesting. Yes, yeah. But when I imagine something, a physical work inside the space. When I make the imagine with the artificial, it's just image. It's no architecture. It's possible go inside. I stay outside. No, I'm too old. No, I am old style. Sorry.
So this is the reason why I tried to explore AI, because I do not know how will this affect our profession. The way I see it now is that is a tool that is not yet explored. But on the other hand, they use it so much. They promote very much architectural design systems that make, as I told in the presentation, everything that an architect does better and faster. But what is better? Maybe it is easy to answer what is faster because it's countable. But what is better? This is the opportunity to decide altogether, because there is not one discipline involved with this subject. What is better for us? In which world we want to live? That is my opinion. I will be involved with the systems until I die. I guess, because I use the phones, I use everything. So.
Well,
This is my project. I don't use AI. Yeah, born, I make, that's all.
I kind of like ending with that for our comments. I know we're already 5 minutes over our allotted time. So please let's thank our three speakers. And I think we have a built-in 15-minute break. Do we want to limit it to 10 minutes or? Okay, 15 minutes, and then we'll come back and start the third panel. So thank you.
Okay, well, thank you.
Yeah, it all ties into Thank you.
It's a lot of break and break. Yeah, break and break. Yeah. Yeah, ask the director. Yeah.
Yeah, we have, I think, 20. Don't, we have a lucky.
No, I just for my apartment. It's just like right where I live. For me, that's
Ci sono anche ci sono anche quanto prende da un piccolo
yeah. So I. Yeah, I have it. Well,
io non ho animazione e quella sullo
So we need to tell the people.
non è problema non rischiare there's no any kind of yeah, no. I think the next time we're together, I will bring a lot of books.
Well, I look forward to it.
Great. But prima di mettere la collegazione, there's another colleague. I don't know if she's using slides or not. Sì, probabilmente comunque più sicuro che sia perché quello schermo è tanto basso. Dicevo che quando io una volta faccio lezione, a volte anche quello spinottino, il capo, devo che gli spinotti da 80 euro, mi costano da 5 euro, e quello perché è uno spino, sostituisce il cavo, uno scavo che porta da lì a veramente attenti, ve lo vedi, non è che qui è il casino. Potrebbe essere questo che lo porta lì, è molto più probabile che sia quello della e siccome qui si vede, non è una questione di come se fossero legati sì, certo. Che stavo perché stanno funzionando. Collega, un'altra cosa ho fatto un cambio dopo. Quello a volte però ora ha funzionato. Prima nemmeno questo. Devo cambiare, non deve essere un problema. Perché l'altro giorno dentro vuote uno si tratta diverso usando quello fisso quello ci sicuro quello questo comincia a avere problemi con sì 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 vabbè dai soltanto quando ti non avere di rovinare perché nel senso per fare solo rovina un po' sì, infatti Dai, dai, funzionerà.
So the second one we ready on the main.
Yeah, you got it.
Light feels going. I think that's how this is. So I don't.
Somebody to make sure that the points.
E che tutto so che
Se non ti serve per uccidere qualcuno, per rompere il cazzo. Però domani è uno, certo che uno, aveva fatto averlo 50.000 anni.
Yeah, but somebody that say, yes, immediately.
What? At first, I said that.
Yeah, sure.
And it was like, yes. I forgot. I know. Nice royal.
Actually, could you bring some for this Sunday for a week? I was waiting for a week.
Yeah,
Nobody says. You can see.
Hello. 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 Please.
Your power is less.
Good afternoon. Now we are going to start the third, last but not least, panel. And I would like to first introduce our first speaker, Professor Ivan, Shane Ivan. Yes, please come here. And Professor Ivan is a distinguished senior professor at the Law School of Beijing Normal University, BNU in Beijing. And she holds prominent positions as a council member of both the Beijing International Law Society and Beijing Society on International Politics. And she was the Fulbright Program scholar, the Fulbright scholar at the University of Pennsylvania Law School. And she was a senior visiting scholar at the Pritzker School of Law, Northwestern University. And Professor Ivan has made significant contributions to the field of international law, authoring 5 major works and over 100 theses published in both Chinese and English, demonstrating her expertise and influence within the academic community. And she also heads the Center for Natural Disaster and Human Rights in her university. I have been honored to be senior fellow of the center. Thank you. Professor Ivan.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm very honored to be here to share my presentation with you. I don't want to take you too much time, and I welcome you to China, Beijing. We are organized international conference and also some other activities. So I hope I can invite you all sooner or later. So thank you. The title of my presentation is that Human Rights Dialogue and the International Rule of Law in the Age of AI. The introduction consists of 2 parts: the characteristics of AI and human rights. We know that mankind has welcomed the era of AI. The era of AI is also known as the ABC Central, where A stands for AI, B stands for Big Data, and C stands for Cloud Computing. And with the in-depth development of AI, the nature of human beings will also change, which may lead to the emergence of digital human. Here I list the characteristics of the AI technology. And the advantages of AI technology, which can make human life better in the AI era. But the disadvantages of AI technology will also bring some human rights problems. So in short, the impact of the AI era on human rights is a double-edged sword. About the human rights, we know that the core and essence of human rights as human beings themselves. The human rights movement has gone through 3 periods of development as the standard and the theme respectively. The first stage is the right to freedom. The first stage is the right to survival, and second stage is the right to freedom, and third one is the right to development. People gradually now from physical person to information person transition. The body attached more and more abuse digital attributes. Compared with the previous 3 periods of human rights, the rapid development of AI technology has fundamentally affected and even changed the nature of human beings. My presentation consists of 4 parts. The first one is the plight of human rights in the age of AI. The second part is the reasons for it. The third part is the protecting of human rights under international law in the age of AI. And the last one is the problems that international law facing in protecting human rights in the age of AI. About the first part, the plight of human rights in the age of AI. AI will impact micro human rights and specific human rights. About the micro human rights, the first rights will be impacted is the anthropocentrism is threatened. Anthropocentrism is threatened. And the second micro human rights will be impact is the boundary of human morality has been breached. And about specific human rights, the first one is the right to freedom. According to the Article 19 of the UDHR, all individuals possesses the right to express their opinions freely. Because the online content review pipe of AI includes pre-review, post-review, etc. And because AI online review lacks professional enforcement mechanisms and legal mechanisms, lacks of transparency and interpretability, AI may have a negative impact on freedom of speech and will directly or indirectly affect the user's freedom of expression. And about the specific human rights, the second one is the right to equality. Article 225 of ICE SCR provides overall responsibilities of state members to adhere to the principles of non-discrimination and ensuring equal rights for both men and women. However, AI technology may perpetuate discrimination and prejudice because the algorithm itself can be trained according to the existing discrimination and prejudice data. Also, because the frequency of data used is accelerated. So there is a lack of transparency in corporate decisions and software design. The current discrimination is exacerbated by the existence of algorithm black box. The third specific human rights which we impact is the right to privacy. We know that the AI technology may make human privacy more vulnerable. Personal identity information, location information, search history, social media activity, and other information may be leaked or misused. Human privacy may be threatened as well. The fourth specific human rights which we impact is the right to work. The AI age is changing the way that companies operate, value created, and company with each other. Gradually replacing human beings in the fields of such as text induction, code development, image generation, intelligent customer service, etc. Thus, making these human beings, human workers, turn to lower income or even unemployment. The fifth specific human rights which we impact is the intellectual property rights. The generative AI is based on the analysis of vast amounts of data from human samples, whose ownership should not necessarily be considered public data. The sixth specific human rights which we impact is environmental rights and ecological rights. The AI had many positive impacts on human environmental rights and ecological rights, no problem. But, however, the impact of AI on human environmental rights and ecological rights is dual-sided. Given AI technologies require energy to drive, therefore may have environmental and ecological impact, which in turn pose threats in terms of carbon footprint, climate change, environmental change, environmental degradation, and ecosystem degradation, and increased unsustainable extraction, use, and conversion of natural resources. So that's the AI technology impact on the human rights, micro-human rights, and the specific human rights. And the part two of my presentation is the reasons for the plight of human rights in the AI age. It may be difficult for humans to expand the decision-making or reasoning process of AI technology. If the selected database is incomplete or inaccurate, then digital technology may reflect or amplify these issues and further produce unfair, erroneous, biased, or discriminatory results. The wide penetration of AI technology, the pervasive interaction of AI technology, and society's widespread embrace of it create fertile ground for human rights challenges in the AI age. Using China as a case study, by December 2022, the Chinese netizen population had accessed the 1.067 billion with an internet penetration rate of 75.6%. And nearly all netizens accessing the internet via mobile phones, reaching 99.8%. All technology has been widely penetrated and widely accepted by the Chinese people. On this basis, all technology has become an indispensable part of people's lives. The criteria and the restrictions imposed by digital technology have become indispensable for individuals' existence and progress, exerting a significant influence on their survival and advancement. So if you come to China, you can see from the child to old people, everybody relies on mobile. So that's also a double-edged sword. Part 3 is to protect human rights under international law in the age of AI. My idea is that before the global governance worked out, we need to adhere to the principles which provided or regulated by the current International Human Rights Covenant and regional conventions and domestic laws as well. The ultimate goals of development in UNDRD is the first important one. The UNDRD designs the right to development, confronted with the threats to human rights in the age of AI. Only through development can the underlying causes of conflicts be eradicated. So we need to narrow the digital divide. In the age of AI, some people can use the advanced technologies very smoothly, but while the other people they lack the skill or cannot access to the high technology. So that's the digital divide. So only through development can narrow the digital divide. The second international covenant is to protect the freedom of information in the age of AI based on UDHR. The United Nations UDHR, although of a declarative nature and not directly binding, it affirms the indispensable role of freedom of information in enabling individuals to exercise their rights and participate fully in society. In the age of AI, where access to information is facilitated by advanced technologies, it sets a strong foundation that everyone can freely access and receive information without undue restrictions. While the UDHR doesn't provide detailed guidance on specific challenges presented by the age of AI, its principles still serves as a guiding beacon for governments, institutions, and individuals to adapt and implement the standards outlined in the UDHR to tackle emerging challenges concerning digital rights, cybersecurity, data privacy, and ethical development of AI. To protect personal liberties, privacy, freedom of expression, and various other rights in the age of AI should base on the United Nations ICESCR and the ICCP. The ICESCR and the ICCP established the essential guidance for upholding human rights in the age of AI. For instance, how to ensure that personal privacy is respected in applications of big data and AI, and how to safeguard freedom of speech and information flow in cyberspace. Further exploration and the formulation of corresponding policies and practical measures need to base on the principles of the two documents mentioned above. The protection based on international treaties, for example. So we also need to protect human rights based on international treaties. For example, the recommendations on the ethics of AI. The recommendations on the ethics of AI put forward a series of principles and suggestions for protecting human rights in the age of AI. It advocates fairness and non-discrimination, ensuring that all individuals are treated fairly. Transparency and interpretability, autonomy and controllability emphasized in this document. The protection based on international organizations and regional legislation is also needed. For example, the personal data protection guidance of the OECD and the GDPR in Europe are very are of value today. The protection based on international organizations and the regional legislation, I can give some cases. For example, Brazil's Inter-American Human Rights Convention, Japan's Personal Information Protection Law, and Canada's PIPEDA. And China also have issues a series of laws which include cybersecurity law, personal information protection law, regulations on the administration of successes of internet information service, etc. So these domestic and regional laws are also of necessity and value in the age of AI to protect the human rights. The last part is about the problems that international law facing in protecting human rights in the age of AI. Although we have talked about a lot how to protect human rights and the relevant international laws, but still many problems that human rights facing threatened and challenged. So what's the problem? The first problem is that the lack of global standards. So far, we haven't issued out or worked out any global covenant or convention governance on the development of AI. So the late global standard is the first problem. The second problem is the inadequacies of personal data protection. And the third problem is the conflicts between national security and privacy protection. And this is very abused in China. And fourth one is algorithmic discrimination. Just before we mentioned about the algorithmic black box. And the fifth one is the existence of AI divide. Just like we talk about, some people can use the AI technology skillful, but while other people maybe cannot access to them or maybe cannot use them well. So the 5 problems is now we are facing still hasn't been solved in protecting human rights in the age of AI. So what's the conclusion? Facing the challenges brought by the AI era, from my perspective, I know that China has also put forward its global development initiative for the first time in the 76th United Nations General Assembly. The main content of the initiative is called 6 adherence. The 6 adherence is like this. The first one is giving priority to development, and then inclusive, and then harmonious coexistence between human and nature, adhering to the people-centered, innovation driven, and action-oriented. This is the 6 adherence of China's initiative. To some extent, the 6 adherence could be a contemporary interpretation of the UNDRD, and the solution to the human rights crisis in the AI age. This major initiative meets the real needs of the people of the world for peace, development, fairness, justice, and the win-win cooperation. As soon as it was put forward, the United Nations and other international organizations and many countries responded to it. From the perspective of human rights protection, the Global Development Initiative is a new concept of human rights governance provided by China to the international community, and an important practice to promote the building of a community with a shared future for mankind. China will also benefit the establishment of the concept of digital human rights, build an AI industry model with Chinese characteristics, take human rights and dignity as the highest goal of AI technology development, and seek a balance between industrial development and human rights protection. Thank you for your patience. Thank you very much.
Next one.
Yes. Now, thank you very much, Professor. You may sit there. Yes. Yes. Thank you very much, Professor Eiffel, for a wonderful and enlightening presentation. Now, I'd like to welcome Professor Paolo Guarda. Professor Guarda teaches comparative privacy law, comparative legal systems, law, and digital technology at the University of Trento. And he has published as author and editor books and articles in the subject of privacy and protection of personal data, intellectual property, and contract law, civil liability, etc. the one thing that that's a relationship there with our institution here is Professor Guarda's one article that has been published. The article is Free Data, Open Science in the Age of Personal Data Protection. The book, the collection of articles, the book was edited by our own Dean Jacob Brooksby. So welcome, Professor Paolo Guarda.
Thank you, Brenda. You don't have to read all that stuff. Fake news probably. Too many Nobel titles are risky because getting too many attention on me. I will for sure destroy all this presentation. Good afternoon to everybody. I have to thank the organizers. Brenda was talking about that. It's a way to restart our collaboration because I was working with Professor Ruski 2018-19. Then, as I told to some of you, I was ready to come to Spokane. We booked the flight, we booked everything, and then the pandemics. And so we will try again. We said, if another pandemic will come, we will stop. So we can interact by remote or here in Florence because we are creating a global issue. It's a little bit strange for me to be here because I've been invited by an American conference to provide a presentation in Italy, in Florence, my own town, my own country, but that's another nice point. It has been a very long day, a lot of valuable presentations and scholars. I'm the last one. I will try not to ruin everything we have done before. That's my final goal for today. And I'm also the last obstacle between you and the aperitivo and the dinner, also between me and the aperitivo and the dinner. So please, let's all make one last effort. Listen to me, tolerate me, WhatsApp, texting, whatever. Just stay there, and we will do very quickly, not so quickly, because Apenda told me to speak for 30 minutes. He was telling me, how many times do you have to speak? I can speak 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 1 hour, 1 day. I'm a law professor, so it's my job. I'm going to provide some warning or caveat. We like to play with Latin, with Jews coming from the continent. The first one is, it was an ambush at one of the recording, because I like to move and to work. When I'm staying in front of a camera and I'm not allowed to work, my performance tends to get down. I'm so sorry for that. It's their fault. They were not telling me that there are some privacy issues, but we are not taking them into account. We don't deal with privacy. The other point is, I was telling to your professors, actually, I like to play with and to refer and to quote movies and cartoons and whatever. But since I didn't know you, I was following a sort of precautionary principle. And then I thought it's probably better to mix my hippie soul, legal soul, and a traditional legal boring presentation. So it's a mix. I apologize for that. I have a lot of details, but you don't need to care about them. I will share with you the slides that are in open access with the Creative Commons license. So don't pay too much attention on the details. Nobody's gonna provide a final assessment for that. I don't know. You are? I don't care. It's up to you. So I mean, we could also say in Latin excusatio non petita, accusatio manifesta. So unsolicited excuse manifesta accusation, but not another point. So my presentation actually is providing another perspective, because I'm a comparative lawyer dealing with law and technology, especially with reference to data protection in the health sector. So I deal with data much more than other issues, and I'm used to work with computer scientists. So I like to say that we are different anthropological group of peoples. We have to learn how to interact with each other. When they were writing to me just a line, I was assuming they were really impolite. And when I was driving, I was writing just 1,000 lines. They were assuming I was impolite. Then at the end, we just understood that we are different. I work with data. In data, it's a very important part of AI system and technology in general, because you need data for training AI system. You need to manage data when you are using them, and you need to control data with reference to the output. So I will deal with AI, but from that perspective, I got a lot of colleagues talking about AI in a very improper way, actually not the way I could provide to you. So that's my perspective. And the other warning, of course, it's also a sort of, let's say, critical perspective on EU regulations on data. So I have a lot of actually details, but the idea for me is to show you how complex the system is. And the other point that, I mean, in my opinion, a law professor or a professor in general shouldn't provide you too many data or details of information. I should force you to criticize the system. So I'm forcing you to criticize the EU system. It's easy for you and not your citizens, and to criticize your system when you are coming back. So it's a little bit Eurocentric as a perspective, but as you know that Europeans, we are spending a lot of resources and I mean working on creating a set of rules with reference to management of data. But I will criticize that at the end. So let's go on. Otherwise, the presentation is really too long. That's the agenda. So some words with reference to the innovation scenario and scientific research. I'm working a lot on scientific research. So I'm helping computer scientists, also physicians when I'm working with them to use data. So I'm the one who try to crack the system in order to force the system and to use and to get access to data. I'm sort of white hacker of the legal system. So I do that for the social benefit, not for getting rich, because I choose actually the academic career. I'm not very smart. I will not. I also made 3 boys. So let's go on. I don't want to get you too sad because of that. So I will also present you. We're talking about the AI Act. You know that there are a very big emphasis here in Europe with reference to the AI Act. We probably emphasize it too much. You don't care so much about the AI Act. And in relation with the GDPR, so we will see there are some point in common with reference to this piece of regulation. Then we will put this regulation within a more general framework. I don't know if you are aware of that. You were listening to some seminars. The European Data Strategy. So a European Commission strategy in order to create a single market for data, providing 2 examples, 2 tools in order to enabling the sharing of data, and then some final remarks. So of course, could be, I mean, trivial, but scientific research innovation represent an honorable prerequisite for ensuring the development of knowledge, the progress of science, especially, for instance, the health sector for benefiting the society. So they are pivotal. That's why it's quite important to provide access to the world. It's not an issue. Is God calling me? No. Of course, I mean, we are dealing with many sources of data. We also talk about big data, another hashtag. You know that we boomer like to say hashtag in order to get contact with you, but we are now too old for you. In any case, and research activity innovation become data centric. So it's devoted to that, get access to data, and so it became a very very useful also for computer science and for innovators to be able to legally get access to data. And when you are dealing in the health sector, it's even more difficult. Another hashtag or keyword is balancing. So you need to balance different interests, different public and private interests, individual and collective interests. If you provide to the medical sector, you may have the individual rights, personality rights, and the public health. You may have the care of the individual, but then again, the public health pandemic told us some issue related to that. We needed to compromise and to find a balance with reference to different rights. So the regulator and the regulators should find a way in order to protect individual rights, but also fostering innovation and research activity. And actually, the European Union is trying to do that. It's probably not successful at all, and we'll see at the end. These 2 pieces of regulation, you probably heard about them. So the GDPR is quite famous, the Brussels effect. I'm much more a fan of the GDPR, to be honest, probably because I knew it better. And now I'm working on privacy issues since the beginning, actually. I'm not a fan of the AI Act, I have to be honest with you. If you attend conferences in Europe, it's a sort of religion now, the AI Act. It's a regulation. It's not a general regulation on AI. It's not dealing with liability. We're talking about small liability, really a big issue, but we are not able to solve it. So it's not there. It's just a regulation for, it's a way to categorize AI with reference to risk-based scale in order to impose obligations on the producers and the deployers. I'm not saying anything, but it's only that. These two acts actually are based on the same kind of approach, a risk-based approach. The GDPR, I don't know if you are familiar with, but you make a risk analysis, you provide mitigations, and then you are accountable for this evaluation and for mitigations. And the AI Act is probably the same kind of approach. So that's a very quick overview. Details, you don't care about details, you are not able to read them in either, so you don't care at all. So one point is transparency and explainability. We touched the issue this morning. That's a keyword now. It's in any kind of European regulation, the transparency. It's a concept shared by both. In the GDPR, we have some recitals, we have article related to information notice, the privacy policy, sorry. If we have an article 22, this morning my colleague was quoting article 22 of the GDPR dealing with solely automated decision system. So providing and emphasizing the importance of explanation. There is a debate behind that. So it's really a right to explanation. So you have the right to know why you get that result, but it's also a right to be informed. We have a debate on that. We have the same kind of approach with reference to AI Act. I don't know if you are familiar with the Act. Divide the AI system in high risk, limited risk, and general purpose, providing obligation. And especially, Article 86 is providing the same wording of the GDPR. So clear and meaningful explanation, main element of the decision taken. The issues there is also to be able to explain this very difficult and complex system to an average people, an average guy. So if I'm providing you many details with reference to the algorithm system, I'm probably not addressing the transparency principle because you are not understanding anything. So transparency is a key word. Another word is accuracy. It has to do with biases. In order to avoid biases, we need accurate data. And it's an approach that we have in the AI Act and the GDPR as well. I don't want to waste your time with all this element. We have similar tools. I don't know if you're familiar with this tool, but in the GDPR, we have the data protection impact assessment. When processing is very risky, you need to analyze it and to provide mitigation, and then to keep notes of this process, and then to store this piece of paper and be ready to disclose it before the data protection authority. For instance, the video cameras over there, Gonzaga University should have a DPI with reference to that kind of processing because it's a very high risky process. We have the same kind of tool in the AI Act with reference to fundamental rights. And actually, if you have an AI system processing personal data, you have to combine them and bring them together. That's another. I didn't tell you, again, I'm a private lawyer, so I'm the one who get the hands dirty because I need to use the rule and to apply them. So that's why I'm also presenting you all this probably boring stuff. But then if you wanna train an AI system, you need to get data, and then you need to work with this kind of boring. It's in any case a job. It's a way for me to get some money for my family. Joking. Probably not joking. Yeah, I have to remember that they are recording me, and the European Commission is watching me at home. So to be careful. I'm an associate professor, not a full professor. When you get full professor, you get Jedi Master. Nobody can do anything to you anymore. So I'm still to be a little bit careful for what I'm talking about, but I'm like the Pope. When I'm talking ex cathedra, I can say whatever I want. I'm not liable. Joking. Governance. Governance is an important part of the story. I will start walking, but I have to stop myself. It's an important part because of the GDPR governance is quite a simple one. We have data protection authorities. Actually, we kept this system of agencies from the US one, New Deal, but then you are the only one without a data protection authority. That's another story. And then we have a European Data Protection Board, all the European Data Protection Authorities sitting together. The AI Act is a very difficult and complex governance system with some EU legal bodies and some national one. And there is a debate in any member state with reference to who is the perfect body or organization within our member state to take this kind of competencies. We are providing this competence to an agency for digitalization. Somebody is saying it's probably better data protection authorities. You don't have to care about it. You are American citizens. Training is quite important. I'm skipping. Training is important. Training is a security measure for GDPR. But it's also very important for AI Act. We have an article. I would like to say it's also very important for transparency. I mean, in order to allow people to be able to get informed, they also need to be trained. So not only people involved in the processing, it has also to do with what we call digital citizenship. A digital citizen. So we need to get at least some basics of how the system works. Otherwise, we are not able to understand them. There's another big issue. I don't know if you are familiar with data protection, or when you're working on this field, you have to find out the proper legal basis within a list, Article 6 and 9. Control performance, public interest is the one we use for public administration for university. Consent is quite famous. When you are not able to use consent, you try to get legitimate interest. So when you work on this kind of field, you also get used with them, and you are a good jurist or lawyers when you are able to interplay with these rules and to find out the one more efficient for your processing. Yeah, I'm finishing the second part. It's just an information. It's pending a bill in the Italian Chamber of Deputies with reference to regulate some part of the AI Act. That's another part of the story. We have the AI Act. I'm going to complain about it. But the Act is an elephant. 100 articles, 160 recitas, 14 annexes, many delegated acts at the member state levels. It's something unbelievable, probably impossible to be. I'm attending a lot of conferences. I'm quite sure that nobody actually read all the AI Act. It's impossible. Try, download it and try. You stop at the first article. It's probably what the European Union wanted. So let's go on. Yeah, 10 minutes. Yeah. 8 minutes.
Sure.
It's up to you. I mean, you have to set me, I will speak. If you tell me 1 hour, then I will go.
Let's go with the already set.
Okay, great. So we have to, to put these two pieces of regulations, quite famous and quite important, within a general framework that the European Union Commission launched in 2020, what we call European Data Strategy. So the idea would be to create a market in order to allow the flows of data for benefiting businesses, research, public administrations. So an ecosystem made by laws, by policies, by standards. Within this strategy, we are producing so many / too many regulations. So we have a directive, Open Data Directive with reference to data held by public sector. We have Data Governance Act and Data Act, and we spend a couple of words with reference to that. We have Digital Services Act and Digital Markets Act. We have the AI Act. So many regulations. It's our way to fight with you Americans, the battle of data, and to lose it actually. But let's go on. So some example, related to tools, theoretically aim to foster the processing of data. The first of them is the Data Governance Act. The Data Governance Act has actually two dimensions. A public one is a way to help and support public sector to make available data that are subject to third-party rights, IPRs or personal data regulation. And it's not an obligation, it's just a way. If you want to do that, we are creating a set of rules in order to support this sharing. And there's another one, very evocative, that's why I'm quoting the Good Samaritan. We call it data altruism. It's very evocative, a really good one. So it's based on a sort of voluntary sharing of data. It's also the base for the creation of data spaces. So to create a tool in order to allow people to donate their data to the system in order to benefit in the society. And so it's on the regulation. Of course, it's a matter of how we implement the rules at the national level. That's another story. Another possible example is the Data Act. Data Act is thought in order to aim to allow to remove barriers for accessing data between consumers and businesses. It's especially thought for IoT system. So we have actually two main rights: an access right on the users in order to get this data from the IoT holder, and to bring this data to another provider. So in order to keep the individual free to choose the providers and to also keep the market open, we have the same rules in the GDPR. We have a lot of data portability. So you can ask data in order to move to another player. Otherwise, Google is going to be our king forever. But you're probably happy for that because Google is an American company. There is also another very interesting regulation and right and obligation on the data holder. So there is a right or an obligation to disclose to public bodies some data in exceptional circumstances, and it's recapping the pandemic. So in another pandemic, when we are planning, I'm coming to Spokane, we will probably use Article 14 of the data. So part of this strategy is also the creation of data spaces. So in key sector, we are creating data spaces, so health, agriculture, finance, mobility, in order to enable sharing of data over there. The first one of them is the one on health data, my sector, and we got this regulation, the regulation on European data space, in order to allow enabling individuals to access the data, but also to foster the primary use, so the healthcare of individual, and also the secondary uses. So research activity, policy making, the part I'm working on. And there's another part, we can also talk about it, another topic, enabling the sharing of data among the electronic health records of the European countries. So we have this very ambitious project to federate all our electronic records in order to be able to move everywhere and to have access to our data. We are not able, or we're not able to get it in Italy. So I don't know when we will get it at the European level, but that's another promise that we I don't want to stress you too much, but again, for instance, I was telling you one of the issues is how to find out a legal basis. It's always an issue. This kind of regulation try to support you in proposing and helping you in getting and solving this boring legal issue. Another very interesting part in order to foster the sharing of data, because the issue is I have to find a legal basis, and very often the legal basis for health data is the consent, and the consent is quite difficult also from an organizational point of view. This regulation is allowing the processing of health data for instance, for scientific research, for training, testing AI systems. So it's proposing a sort of default rule. So by default, if you are authorized, you can use this data, and the user, the citizen, the data subject may oppose. So providing a right to opt out in order to exclude this kind of processing by the system. So it's a interesting tool. It's a possible way to find a solution for promoting the sharing of data. These mechanisms will be implemented by the member states. Again, the issue of complexity I was telling you. So we could have a different system in Italy, Germany, France, or whatever. That's a problem for our single market. Final remarks. 3 minutes. So I told you I like to criticize, and I'm not criticizing the European Union. I mean, I want to be clear with reference to that. I know that I'm proud of that, so we try to put on the table values and principles. That's why we create so many regulations, trying to, instead of providing just a laissez-faire or not regulating the system. So I'm not criticizing. I'm criticizing the legal framework, since it's my job, in order to find another solution. So the issue that Pulp Fiction, thanks Ryan, yesterday he was teaching me how to say Pulp Fiction. We would say Pulp Fiction, the Italian way, but I was probably ruining and destroying my reference. So you know Pulp Fiction. Because now I'm teaching at the first year, providing some examples, and then they don't laugh because they don't understand anything. So, you know Star Wars, usually you Star Wars, Mandalorian, Simpson, yeah, but you're not so young actually. So, Pulp Fiction and Tarantino, and Mr. Wolf has solved problems. I usually don't do that, so I'm raising questions and problems, so don't ask me to solve the problem, so I'm not the right guy. Okay, so first keyword, interoperability. I'm also working on that terminology. When we refer to interoperability, it's a keyword for processing involving data flows. We always emphasize the technical part. So standards, so semantic interoperability, the system needs to understand each other. the legal interoperability plays a role. I mean, if we compare between EU and US, but plays a role also within the EU. So we have to find out a way in order to make organizations working in different legal systems to work together, avoiding barriers. The mission of the European Union would be to eliminate barriers and providing directing more regulation. Sometimes it's working, for instance, with reference to the GDPR, but some spaces left to the member state. We need a job that is working, in other perspectives it's not working. It's probably not working with reference to the European data strategy. I'm referring as a fog. So if you want to foster the sharing of data and you are creating so many regulations with so many dissonances in definitions, so difficult to be coordinated, always referring to the GDPR, but rarely telling you how to do that. So putting on the lawyer the responsibility to do that, you are creating transaction costs. At the end of the story, you don't do or you don't share data because you are afraid of doing that. So if you create too many rules with not coordination among them, you create a fog. Another problem, that's a problem of the European Union, actually, I have to say that to the European Commission, it's also the way we draft regulation is quite difficult and complex. I don't know if you've never tried, but try it. When you go home, if you have a problem in getting a sleep during the night, just take the AA. I tell you, I'm prescribing to you 1 or 2 articles per night, you get asleep. It's really long, difficult. You have to read them twice or 3 times. And these regulations are also thought to be used by not lawyers. So it's really a mess. And they're asking you to solve the issue, but you are reading and reading and reading and not able to find a solution because, you know, we like to play with words. So long articles, long regulations. So it's really a fog. We should also, we Europeans should ask ourselves, it's really an effective strategy. So are we really, so I mean, data is also a geopolitical perspective. So, I mean, I don't want to be unpolite, but I see in that way. So at the really beginning, US was not regulating this kind of content provider and Facebook and Google. It was also a way to let them get that global position that they have now. So now we can start regulating them, but the game is over. We are regulating so much, but do you know any kind of very big content provider, European content provider? Not at all. So we are just regulating for others with problem in providing enforcement of the rules, but the big providers are US, China, Russia, India. So we have we have the same kind of problem with IP regulation and database rights. And so we try to, our way to foster this kind of activities, providing rights and obligations, but then the final result is nobody is coming to Europe to establish our. So we should ask ourselves, is it really, I mean, taking into account what I was telling you at the beginning, we are also trying to push in the system values and principles that's not quite easy, and of course it implies a sort of market fair in some way when we invest money and resources in that. The other point has to do with the governance. I was telling you very quickly, but one point that every single piece of regulation is creating a governance at the European level, at the national level, creating fragmentation with reference to bodies, organization, and praxis. And again, we are trying to solve the issue of how we can share data within Europe, but we are creating probably more barriers. But I mean, I'm not always complaining. So who knows me, you know, that I'm really a positive guy. Even if you are making me drinking water, I usually don't use water but for washing my hands. That's a complaint with Gonzaga University. That's probably for healthy and this kind of policy. I know about it, so it's, the same for many universities. So I'm not complaining. So a new hope or a possible hope, the data spaces are a way, or seems to be a way to solve issues, solve problems like Mr. Ward. Because I mean, we usually start with a civil law approach, different from the common law country approach. So we tend to have very general regulation. And then when you go to the specific scenario, then you have a problem. Trying to get more into details with reference to specific scenarios could be a possible solution. That's Star Wars. Okay. Let me finish with a provocation. I'm really provoking, so quoting Tacitus. So, corruptissima repubblica plurime leges, for English speaker, English not letting understanding. Friends, the more corrupt the state, the more numerous the laws. I thank you for the attention. I also thank you for effectively destroying your language. Creative Commons, I will provide them to your professors, but you can also write them in group of people, not every single student.
Thank you very much, Professor Paolo Guarda. I will have any few questions we'll entertain, and then we'll move toward closing the conference, and then aperitina gathering and get together social. Any questions?
Yes.
Dr. Singh, you gave us some pretty impressive numbers for people who use mobile phones and AI in China. And I was wondering, from the viewpoint of eliminating more bias and discrimination, how can marginalized communities play an effective role in the creation of AI global governance?
It's a big question. So I think so far, not only me, but also great people can only propose some general principles or some ideas. The specific methods or way is under research. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Any other questions? So everybody is ready for, oh,
So a similar question for each of you. As we look at all of the potential and problems of AI, and we perhaps look for ways of making it more humanized or uplifting of humanity, what are our values, human values, that you see as being missing in EU regulations or in the 6 adherences that would better serve to help us to form a greater partnership with AI for the improvements of the conditions of humanity?
I think the 6 adherence is also like the principles, general directions to governance or guide the development of the AI technology. The further specific regulations is under research. Yeah. Yeah. So.
I'm not such an expert with reference to ethical issues, to declare, because again, I'm a private lawyer. But to be honest, with reference to the narrative, in my opinion, actually we are not missing any ethical issue or principles. The matter is how you get them effective. So because if you read all the resolutions and statements, we are actually quoting all of them. So, and the problem is not dehumanize the relationship between the machine and the man. I can probably provide an example with reference to my experience, the medical one. One issue is you may have different kind of AI systems. The support decision systems, and the one supporting the physician in order to take the decision. At the end of the story is the physician taking the decision, or solely automated decision system. So a sort of, with some virtual coaching let's take an example of map for diabetes. You've got with a module interacting directly with the patient. The patient is providing some data, and the system is telling you take this drug or another one. We have these systems, and we have also regulation for that in order to guarantee to the patient the fact that in any case it can ask for a human intervention, for instance. So you can stop the system, Article 22. You can stop the system, oppose the decision, and ask for a reviewing by a human being, and then a physician, of course. the issue that theoretically is a good point, but then at the end of the story, if you are the physician and they are asking you to review the AI diagnosis, you would do that or you will confirm it, taking into account that if the patient is going to die, somebody will ask you, why did you not take into account that the machine trained with billion of medical data and you were actually taking another path. So you have also to create some kind of gray liability situation for, so you have also to take into account how you apply. So what we are probably missing, we're dealing a lot, it's true, it's correct with reference to the main principles, but then you have to go into details and trying to apply them. There's a very funny, very nice movie, I don't remember, Sunny, the one with the pilot, it was crashing with a plane on a river in the US. And with no. Sally. Sorry. I said Sally because I'm getting crazy. But Sally. Sally also in Italian. Right. Also in Italian. I don't know if you watched the movie, and I don't want to spoiler it, but the story is there. So the system has to defend his position because he decided to do it in a different way than the one that the system was suggesting. And at the end of the story, the game was between the litigation was between the machine solution and the human solution. Watch the movie, and then we will talk about it.
Thank you, Professor Ivan and Professor Guarda. Now I think that we are going to end the thing, this one, and thank you very much. We learned a great deal from both of your presentations. The great thing is that you said hippie zone.
Yeah,
you know, that took me to 70s, late 70s or 80s. And you know the international capital of hippies, right?
Yeah, no, but you know.
Kathmandu.
Great.
There you go.
I remember that you invited me to Kathmandu.
Yes.
Yes, probably you were drunk, but you told me. I was recording you.
Yes.
And we also actually recording also our.
Yes, sir. Yes. There is a recording there. We'll go to Kathmandu. Yeah. And the very important thing is that what we have learned from the both scholars, prominent scholars' presentation is that the international and national legal regimes, that is on human rights and AI perspective, and then Chinese proposal to the United Nations General Assembly on 6 adherences, and then how do we at least bridge the gap of AI and digital divide. And at the same time, we learned a great deal about the lots of rules, strategies, and legal mechanisms to regulate AI so that AI is not going to destroy the human life in Europe or the whole world. That is the thing. But also at the same time, we learned that international legal regime does not have any kind of teeth, any kind of central mechanism of enforcement. There is a problem. And we'll have lots of teeth in EU laws, but there are so many rules, conditions, and fragmentations. And then the fog that has been being fog and not being major actor who we are going to regulate. That was the very critical question Professor Guarda said. But Europeans have done that. You know, climate change thing on the aviation rule, all the American companies have to pay or something like that, ultimately settled and finally regulated the American airplanes. You know, that is one thing, climate change aspects, at least on that one. And another very important thing that we have learned, at least I have learned from the whole thing and your presentation now, is AI is trying to machinize us, machinization of human. And then human is trying to humanization of machines. So this is the thing that what we are trying to do. And I would like to request, now we are almost done, let's close. I would like to invite Professor Ryan Lincoln that in 2 or 3 minutes, a broad-eye views of the whole conference, that's how Professor Lincoln observed.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Thanks to our panelists, thanks to the organizers, thanks to you all for being here to stay. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's good.
I won't move. Even more. How's this? Okay. I don't know about 2 or 3 minutes, but I've got 3 quick points. So, first a reflection, I think second a question, and then third a hope to close things out. So, first my reflection is I was really struck by the diversity of the panelists, the diversity of the people, the diversity of the regions, the ideas, even the professions. And I think that diversity really reflects the extent to which we are already living in this AI world. Second, a question. You were talking about humanizing the machines. So my question comes from this like recognition that when we're discussing AI, we've seen how often ethical issues come up. And it seems like we're talking about the ethical burden either being on the user or perhaps the human creator. So my question is it possible to ethically train the algorithm? I have no idea. Is that technically possible? What would that look like? How would the tools change? How would the users change? And then my last point, so to finish, I guess, on a hope, I'm here in Gonzaga, I'm teaching a class on human rights in the environment. And in class yesterday, we were talking about procedural rights. So the procedural rights of participation in information that attach prior to development projects that affect the environment. And we talked about how important it is that those procedural rights, information, participation, not only safeguard the environment, but can prevent human rights abuses as well. So my hope is that to the extent that these AI tools can increase access to information, enhance public participation, perhaps the tools themselves can have this protective effect as well. That's all I got.
Thank you, Mr. Lincoln. And now I would like to invite Dr. Sheila, please, to speak on behalf of Gonzaga in Florence and toward the closing. Thank you.
Thank you. We have learned throughout the conference today that the impact of AI on human rights is very complex, and that it produces many opportunities of improvement in our lives, but at the same time, it presents great risks in discrimination, for example, or in other ways. I'm very grateful as a Gonzaga and Florence member to have hosted with the School of Law this conference here in Florence, and I thank Professor Upendra Chadia and the School of Law for this event, for organizing this event here. Thank you.
And thank you very much for all of your passions. I hope that all of you have learned something. And I know that in our classes, every classes, we'll be discussing a lot about all the things that our speakers have provoked, taught, inspired, aspired, forced us to think critically from not only purely legal way, technical way, but interdisciplinary way. And I'm positive that we'll be doing that in our classes. Definitely, all of you are doing that and thinking that. And having said that, the food is, I think, ready. We don't want to spend so much time now. We all are tired, long day. Thank you very much again.